Pigweed here. Today we review an IPA and discuss a novel from the Beat generation. Well, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Longinus is here.
Longinus, all right,
Very
fantastic.
good,
How about
very
some
good.
beer and conversation?
That's a very good thing. That's what's on your mind.
Okay, so Sal Paradise, Dean Moriarty, Mary Lou, Camille, and Old Bull Lee.
I see. It must be time for P&C's Shortcut to the Classics.
Absolutely, yes, where we read great books by the world's great authors, provided they aren't too long.
Well, normally, yes.
Normally.
This time we made an exception because Longinus has chosen On the Road by Jack Kerouac, and it's about 300 pages.
Yeah, okay, all right. But first, let's get into
first.
this. And
All right.
this is a good selection here. Graffiti way, it looks kind of
Yeah, it looks out
doesn't
of...
it? I'm trying to dress the part here with the,
All
with the
right.
tie-dye and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Deadhead.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah.
So, this is a Troegs single hop IPA, and the single hop is Mosaic.
I do like Mosaic, and
I
now
do.
I'm pretty sure I do. And but this way with the single hop,
Now you know.
you isolate it, and
Yeah.
you know what kind of.
It's got a good aroma. It's good flavor. Yeah.
So when you
Mosaic-
say a single hop, are you talking about putting just one little hop in there, or are you talking about one kind of hop?
That's a good question. One variety of hop.
Right. So, right. Sometimes you'll put you'll have 3 different hop additions, different times with 3 different hops. In this case,
Yeah.
I don't know how many additions they were, but it was the same hop all the time.
Yeah. So sometimes you have like bittering hops and aroma hops and flavor hops and things. So you sometimes use different things. This one's a single one all the way through, which gives you a good sense of what that hop's about. And this is very good.
All right.
Fantastic. So Jack Kerouac.
Yes, hold on, Giants.
All
Can you
right.
give us some facts and figures about old Jack?
Yeah, and we're going to whiz right by this because he will come out a lot more when we talk about the Beat generation and On the Road, which is autobiographical in many aspects. So he was born in 1922 in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Right.
First 5 years, he did not speak English. He spoke French Canadian.
Right.
And also his brother died in 1926, which had a lasting effect on him. Culminated in a book called Visions of Gerard. 1940, he enrolls into Columbia University with a football scholarship. Very athletic guy.
Yeah.
But then he kind of dropped out about a year after that,
good
second
authors
year after that.
All of our good authors don't go to much school. Yes.
They never do. So in 1942, of course, you have the World War II raging. He becomes a merchant marine for about a year.
Okay.
And then he sort of he had health problems that got him out, and that in 1950 he finally gets his first novel published called Town and the City,
Right.
which I haven't read, which is interesting, but that was his first one. 1957, of course, is the publication of On the Road,
All
which
right.
you'll see a discrepancy between when it was published and when it was quote-unquote written. And 1954, he begins to study Buddhism. By the time of 56, 57, 58, he starts writing books about Dharma bums. So there's very Buddhist sort of oriented. Desolation Angels and Big Sur. And by the time he gets to 58, 59, he starts to get depressed. His alcoholism is catching up with him.
Like
he
all good
starts,
authors.
right? He starts to spend more and more time alone writing and writing.
Right.
And by the end of 1969, he dies. Now, Neil Cassidy dies in 69 too.
Okay. So, good authors. You've got Don't Finish College. You've got Alcohol Problems. How about Failed Marriage? Did he have a failed marriage?
Oh, and it starts with his failed marriage.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, it checks all 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the book, and that's how it starts, right? The first thing he does is mention the fact that he's recently divorced,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Right,
And
which
you
I think is really important.
Yeah, so the Sal Paradise, the
Okay,
main
yes,
character,
yes.
is an image of Jack Kerouac. He's not Jack Kerouac, but he's supposed to represent him, right?
Yeah. So it's first person. So Sal is telling the story. He's in New York. You get to meet some of the principal characters.
Right, yeah, so we've got Sal, Dean Moriarty, he's the next big character, Carlo Marx, Mary Lou, Camille, Bull Lee, and old Dean Moriarty, who plays a weird part toward the end of the book.
He sort of lingers,
Yeah.
looms over. So does he meet Dean in the beginning of the book for the first time?
The first paragraph, he says, After my wife kicks me out, I meet Dean Moriarty.
And Dean is very inspirational and very influential.
Yeah.
And inspires him to hit the road and just, have some experiences. And so he runs off to Denver.
Yeah.
Right? A bunch of other people are there. Dean shows up. There's a rift between friends, and he's kind of like the bridge between the groups of friends. And then, but the whole plan is to go to San Francisco and get on a cargo ship or something, right? Work on a...
Right,
well,
with his friend Remy.
Yeah, he's going to... Right.
But the question about work is always like, they'll work to the extent that they have to get enough money to buy beer and gasoline.
Well, the fact that okay, so it's set in 1947.
Yeah.
The fact that, I understand things were very cheap back then,
yes.
But still the idea of going, I've got $40 to travel across the country.
Yes, and also the times when he just goes out and picks cotton, to support himself.
A couple of days.
Yeah.
And then you get 50 cents to put in the gas tank.
It's pretty crazy.
And I think it's also really important to think that all these characters are in their mid to late 20s, except for the old Bull Lee, and he's in his mid 30s, late 30s. But he's like the character that we'll get to him.
Well, all right. So then what? He turns around, comes back.
Yeah.
And I think one of the greatest lines in literature where he says, "Everybody goes home in October." Beautiful line. That ends part one.
So he goes home and recharges his batteries a little bit, and then what? Christmas time goes to Virginia, pick up some furniture.
He comes back and he's in school.
Yeah.
He's in school, so he's at Columbia working on things, and then he goes down to Virginia, and he wrote a letter to Dean saying, "Hey, I'll be in Virginia at this time if you want to show up." And guess what? He shows up.
He shows up, and then they go to New Orleans, and we meet old Bull Lee.
Yeah.
And he's quite a character. But then he pushes on, right? Says,
he's all over the place.
He
goes to San Francisco. He goes down to New Orleans.
Again.
Yeah.
Dean... let me see. Dean abandoned Sal and his ex-wife, Mary Lou, in San Francisco to live with his current wife, Camille. So, got a new wife.
And then there's another one. After Camille, there's another one.
Inez.
Thank you, Inez. Yeah, and but they also take a trip down to Mexico.
Right.
Yeah.
So he goes back to New York.
Yeah.
Right. And then back to San Francisco again. Again, he stops in Denver. Nobody's there.
Yeah.
Oh, he also has that wonderful time with Terry, his Mexican love.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That was in part one.
Right. He's ready.
But that's really
of course, he's ready to marry her. He's always ready to marry somebody.
Yeah.
And then just leaves.
It's very strange.
That's
very
how it always
strange.
is. So yes.
What can you blame a 25-year-old?
Yeah, she's a hottie. Dean's back to... So, first off, Dean is fresh out of reform school. Dean has had a really rough upbringing.
There's a great quote about him spending 1/3 of his time in jail, 1/3 of his time in reform school, and 1/3 of his time in the public library.
Yeah, that's about right. So, and Dean knows, he's already had 2 strikes.
Yeah.
He really has to behave. And then he starts stealing cars again.
Exactly. He's totally unrepentant and incorrigible.
Yes. So they're always hitching rides. What's this thing called the Travel Bureau? Like a place where you can you'll drive somebody as long as they'll pay for gas money.
Yeah.
So they're looking to find somebody to ride with them money because they're out of money.
I like that idea. You're trying to go someplace and you stop and you say, okay, here's somebody who's willing to help you out with the gas as long as you take.
Right. And the other guy's got a little bit of money, just doesn't have a ride, and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
So yes, then the last one is that instead of going east and west, they go south.
Farthest trip they ever took.
Go to Mexico. Yeah. They spend some time in a whorehouse. They go down to Mexico City. Mm-hmm. He says it's a totally happening place. It's got its own version of Beat Generation going on down there in Mexico City, and gets dysentery.
Right. And while he has dysentery, Dean decides he's rolling out. He's got to get back to his steady life and job.
Oh, yeah, right.
One of his wives.
Yes, one of his wives. And then he ends up... And in the meantime, Mary Lou's had a baby, his first wife.
Yeah.
I think Camille, the second one, has a baby. Maybe, I don't know if he knocks the third one up or not. But he's got
I
2
know,
divorces
he's got
various kids.
Kids all over the place, yeah. And that's only the kids we know about because these guys are horny and they're
Right.
getting down to business all over the place.
Right. And
Yeah.
so he's hanging out with Dean again in New
Yes.
York. Dean takes off to San Francisco. He just can't do it this time. And it ends with him reflecting on Dean and saying this is the last time he ever saw him.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Andy, would you like me to, or you want to wait?
Yeah. Want to read the
Go
ending?
ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready to get into analysis.
All right, so I'll read the ending because it's, I think, some of the greatest writing in American literature.
Okay.
So, and I don't say that or do I always say that?
You say that frequently. But all right.
But there are a lot of great lines. in
That's
that
right.
letter.
That's right.
Right. So, wait a minute, let's get a little...
Yeah, wet your whistle.
Yeah, wet the whistle.
All right.
Get ready.
So in America, when the sun goes down and I sit on the old broken down river pier watching the long, long skies over New Jersey and sense all that raw land that rolls in one unbelievable huge bowl over to the west coast, and all that road going and all that people dreaming in the immensity of it all, and Iowa, I know by now the children must be crying in the land where they let the children cry. And tonight the stars will be out. And don't you know that God is Pooh Bear? The evening star must be drooping and shedding her sparkler dims on the prairie, which is just before the coming of complete night that blesses the earth, darkens all rivers, cups the peaks, and folds the final shore in. And nobody knows what's going to happen to anybody besides the forlorn rags of growing old. I think of Dean Moriarty. I think of old Dean Moriarty, the father we never found. I think of Dean Moriarty.
Nice.
The writing is actually very good. I mean, there's no plot.
Yes, yeah. We didn't cover the plot very much because there's not
much plot. Yeah,
No.
but the writing is actually engaging and interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's the point. I read a large chunk. I read probably half the book in one sitting and kind of fast. And I'm like, that's the way to read it, really, because you don't need to fret over who's who and what this person's doing, and you just kind of need to let the whole thing wash over you.
It's kind of like just an experience.
Yeah.
I actually listened to it.
Okay.
And the guy who did the narration was fantastic.
Uh-huh.
And he had different
that's good.
different pacing for the different characters and different. It was very, very good.
I think that's one of
great.
the point of it is really is capturing a certain rhythm, right?
Yeah.
A certain
vibe.
vibe.
And that goes on. I mean, there's so many scenes where they're at jazz clubs and down and out jazz juke joints, so to speak.
I think so. There was a movie made in 2012, and I'm interested in seeing it now. But in my mind, the camera is always moving. People are talking over top of each other. It's the camera. Their jump cuts are going from activities in one room to another.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's noise and jazz music in the background. Kind of a frenetic, feeling to the book.
Yeah. So let me. I'm going to try to read this passage, and I'm going to read it the way the narrator that I listened to would have read it. All right.
As Dean.
As Dean. Well, the part of it's Dean. You'll see. So the narrator, he dodged a mule wagon. Dean is driving. He dodged a mule wagon. In it sat an old Negro plodding along. "Yes," yelled Dean. "Yes, dig him. Now consider his soul. Stop a while and consider." And he slowed down for the car for all of us to turn and look at the old jazz bow moaning along. "Oh, yes, dig him. Sweet. Now that's the thought in the mind that I would give my last arm to know. To climb in there and find out just what he's poor ass pondering about this year's turnip greens and ham. Sam, you don't know it, but I once lived at a farmer down in Arkansas for a whole year when I was 11. I had awful chores. I had to skin a dead horse twice. But haven't been to Arkansas since Christmas 1943. 5 years ago, when Ben Gavin and I were chased by a man with a gun who owned the car we were trying to steal. I say all this to show you that of the South I can speak. I dig the South. I know it, in and out. I've dug your letters to me about it. Oh yes, he said, trailing off and stopping altogether, and suddenly jumping the car back to 70 and hunching over the wheel.
Yes, there you go. That's a great reading, and that is very Dean. Dean, Dean's manic.
He is,
and
absolutely.
this is before we diagnose people. But
yeah.
Dean, and everybody knows that Dean's a little bit of a Phil. Would you say Longinus?
When Phil was nice.
or even our other friend from college. Like this exuberant, high on life intensity before the crash. That inevitably becomes. But so yes, he's intoxicating, but he's exhausting too.
Yes.
He wears out his welcome, and kind of knows it, and then just leaves.
And there's many different places in here where Kerouac acknowledges that he's a con man, that he doesn't care about anybody, that his friendship is only skin deep. But he's going to go with him anyway.
Yes, and people will write him off until he shows up again, and they're like, "Dee!"
Yeah,
right?
I think I see him as a mentor in trying to understand the kind of beat perspective on life, which is all about experience, all about originality, all about authenticity, all about getting into
not surrendering your life to the man and working the 9 to 5 and all that.
So here it is, right here. But then they danced down the streets like dingle doties, and I shambled after, as I've been doing all my life, after people who interest me. Because the only people for me are the mad ones, the ones who are mad to live, mad to talk, mad to be saved, desirous of everything at the same time, the ones who never yawn or say a commonplace thing, but burn, burn, burn like fabulous yellow Roman candles, exploding like spiders across the stars in the middle. You see the blue center light pop and everything goes, ah.
Yes. And so that's, with that attitude is just going, well, what do you think? Go cross country tomorrow? No plan, no strategy, no nothing. You don't know if you're going to be hitchhiking, riding in a rail car,
right? And
that's the point, right? Over planning is missing the point.
Yeah. So I thought, what is the word beat? The beat generation. Where does beat come from? And there's a lot of conformity in the late 40s and 50s, right? And so beat is apparently a play on the generation beaten down by this sense of it's being suffocated in this conformity. So it's they're beat in that respect, but it's also playing off the word beatitude.
Okay.
That it's also searching for this experience, this knowing, this, like, Dean is always trying to find out. That's it, man. Yeah, that's it. That's his thing.
And what's so funny about that? Of course, after this book came out, Jack Kerouac was had to defend beat generation and the definitions of beat. So one of the things he wrote about sort of the beatitude aspects of the beat generation and how the words are tied together. Yeah. And it was published in Playboy.
Right.
Sure. Where else would it go?
So the key figures are Jack Kerouac, who's Sal, William S. Burroughs, who's the old Bull Lee, and Allen Ginsberg, who's Carlo Barks. So they're all in there, and these guys are like the
originators of the beat generation.
Yes.
Right. So you want to talk for a minute about what is the beat ethos?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know much about it, so I had to look a bunch of stuff up. So it's a rejection of conformity.
Yeah.
It's spontaneity and authenticity. It's jazz and African American cultures, drugs, alcohol, and altered states, sexual freedom, spirituality outside of Christianity, poverty as freedom, and the road and movement.
So the beatniks and the hippies are both cut from the same bohemian cloth, right? But I would say the beatniks America is different. It's post World War II. I thought that they was going to be a little more cynical or bitter or something like that, but it isn't. It's very upbeat and wouldn't call it not necessarily patriotic, but certainly not anti-American.
Right.
And
except for cops.
Molded, well, the anti-authoritarianism is in both, and that's good. And sort of to be challenge the government, and that's good. But the hippies were that, but they had a little bit more of, you had civil rights and you had an unpopular war. Yeah. That tinged it differently, but the ethos is similar.
Yeah, very similar. And Kurt, go ahead. You were going to say something.
I was just going to say, I mean, in the broadest category of themes, it's really individualism versus the conformity to the community, and I think there are places in this book which become extraordinarily sad or melancholy, as they search for everything, and every now and then be like, I just want to live a regular life like everybody else.
Yes. So thematically, it's a search for meaning, but they don't necessarily find it, or there's clearly joy along the way, but it's not like completing the travel comes with a contentness or happiness. The search really is never complete.
Well, see, I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about how the 70s Jesus movement is tied in with this in a way, because you have like one of the Dean's big things is it man, that's it, right? And they're always searching for that experience that's going to define and change your life, and you're going to understand things. Now I've got it.
Right.
Yes.
Right. You're going to have some peak understanding that's going to come from the experience.
That's it, man. Yes, I've got it. Yes. And so I see that as kind of like the Jesus movement and this idea of this big born again experience and shunning the traditional church and having this.
Fine. I get it now. I get it. You're right.
Yes, exactly. So I think there's a tie in there, but a lot of the hippie, like you were saying, the hippie movement, having a freedom in not having any money, and just it's interesting, but you also have to say, like, if more than a certain percentage of people did this, society would completely fall apart.
Yes. Right? So, I mean, these people are on the fringes, but you have to have a center for there to be a fringe,
Exactly.
So I think this is the closest thing for Kerouac trying to articulate his, let's say, mystical experience or his understanding. And it made me think of the big pop vision of Gretna with Old Bull. And just for a moment, I had reached the point of ecstasy that I always wanted to reach, which was a complete step across chronological time into timeless shadows and wonderment in the bleakness of the mortal realm, and the sensation of death kicking at my heels to move on, with a phantom dogging at its own heels, and myself hurrying to a plank where all the angels dove off and flew into a holy void of uncreated emptiness, the potent and inconceivable radiancies shining in bright mind essence, innumerable lotus land falling upon the magic moss worm of heaven. I could hear and describe seething roar, which wasn't in my ear, but everywhere, and had nothing to do with sounds. And I could just keep on going. But he's, and actually he goes on, and I mean, that's really his first, that's the first inkling of his Buddhist trajectory back in 50, when he starts writing again in 57, 58.
So my understanding is he was raised Roman Catholic.
Yes.
And then
he was always Roman Catholic, by the way, too. So his Buddhism
was kind of like in the middle, and then he became much more traditional Roman Catholic later on.
Yeah, a lot more conservative, yes.
Right, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it was all this looking for experience outside the beaten track. Yeah. And like I can imagine if he grew up in Roman Catholicism in the 30s and 40s, it's very constricting.
Yeah.
And the idea of breaking loose from that, it fits in with everything else.
Yeah. So this is it's almost not a novel, right? It's almost like a travelogue.
Yes.
With fictionalized versions of real people.
Right.
Are his other novels like that, Longinus? Is it just sort of his experiences turned into a book?
Yeah, everyone except for Town and City, and that's more of your regular plot structure and everything, and that's before he found his spontaneous prose.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I was very impressed with just the language. I thought it was really. I mean, it's not going anywhere, but just the way he threw words together was just actually very, very pleasant. I thought. Now, there's another thing we have to address, though, is these guys are not good guys.
That's right.
there's rampant drug use.
Yeah.
They're driving like maniacs.
Yeah.
They're shacking up with women and leaving them.
Yeah.
They're getting women pregnant, leaving them with the kids. They're stealing cars. They're going into a diner and getting the food and then running out before anybody catches them. I mean, these are not good people.
Really.
All right, so this is the way he describes it, right? That thumb became the symbol of it. This is Dean's thumb after it gets all wrapped up because it hurts it. Mm-hmm. Final development. He no longer cared about anything as before, but now he also cared about everything in principle. That is to say, it was all the same to him, and he belonged to the world, and there was nothing he could do about it. He stopped me in the middle of the street. So you're right. The search for individualism, the search for that authenticity takes him into an amoral landscape.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
And so that, I mean, that's a big, huge question, right?
Yes.
Yes, because, traditional morality, rules, laws, all of that is,
constricting.
It's being imposed on you from the outside.
Yes.
And, you're just being a sheep. By following all of these things, and so by breaking them is part of being authentic. But
this book more than anything. I mean, the last 10 years of my life has soured me on the word authenticity. But this book just tipped it over the scales. It's like authenticity is crap.
Yeah, and what was it, 1951, J.D. Salinger comes out with A Catcher in the Rye, which is all about breaking out of that phoniness. We're not accepting the conformity of becoming an adult. So I think there's a lot of that was going on here. And it really goes back to that sort of the individualism versus the conformity. Janis Joplin has a great, and me and Bobby McGee. Freedom.
Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose.
Yep.
Yes, which is not the biggest ringing endorsement.
No,
of freedom.
No, it's not.
Yeah, and she loses Bobby McGee in the song too. He's so free, he frees himself from her.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's when you decide, I'm not going to conform, I'm going to be different, I'm not going to follow the rules. Okay. Well, some of those rules are like, if you're kind to somebody, they're kind back. Well, they're not going to follow those rules.
Yeah.
So you're cutting yourself off from everything it means to live in community with other people, and it becomes a catastrophic mess.
A modern version, I think, is of Kerouac is Hunter S. Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, a lot of his writing is fictional accounts of his real, insane, dangerous, drug-induced experiences.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he was a Kerouac fan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is I found this book fascinating in a lot of ways. It's something I never would have thought to read, to tell you the truth. And I'm glad you suggested it, because it's something I'm really glad to have read it, because it's obviously an important part of the culture, and I understand things a little. I think it helped me understand a little bit more about the hippies and that kind of generation and what was going on there.
Right. I mean, I don't know if this is the time you want to start talking about the real characters, because there's a really direct connection between On the Road and Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
So Neil Cassidy is Dean Moriarty in the book, and he after Kerouac becomes a little sad and sullen and bloated by alcoholism, and he sort of shies away from publicity. Neil Cassidy goes and befriends Ken Kesey, and Ken Kesey was the one that started the Kool-Aid acid test.
Oh.
And of course they had the Grateful Dead. That was the band of the Kool-Aid acid test, and this is when acid was legal. Mm-hmm. It was before it was illegal. And at the end of
before the CIA got involved.
well, they were the one that invented it, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, Ken Kesey gets his big bus, and of course paints it like, and creates sort of the image of the hippie.
Yeah.
And they decide to go cross country. And guess who the driver is? Neil Cassidy.
Yeah.
Oh God!
So
Who's
Neil
gonna-
Cassidy's the
who's
guy who's
behind the
driving.
wheel?
No, who would? I would not sit in that car. With it. Although supposedly one of the funny things about this is he drove like an absolute maniac, but he was apparently very good
At driving like a
at
maniac.
driving like a maniac, and he like never. Well, he did crash one time. Remember when the car they were supposed to drive this guy's car to Chicago, and
Yes.
like within an hour they crash it in the mud.
Yeah.
So
And they end up taking it back to him, and
it's
he's
all
kind of cool
beat.
about it.
the owner was
Yeah.
was very easygoing about it.
And I don't think Sal ever drove, right? I don't think,
Oh no, he did.
Did he?
Yeah, sometimes when Dean was sleeping, he would.
Oh,
drive.
okay.
But not much.
Yeah.
And in real life, Jack Kerouac never got his driver's license.
Okay. But he
Same
was
with
but-
Robert Moses, too. Robert Moses being the guy who built all the interstate highways through New York City. He and really just put limited access highways on the map. He never drove.
Yeah. So you want to wrap up? I mean, I think it's.
I think there, I'm
you got
I
some
think
else.
people- yeah.
Okay, you got something else you want to.
I think there's a couple of themes here. Of course, we did talk a little bit about the idea of the context of the national character at the time. I just wanted to bring out too is remember when we read this, they're not on highways.
Yeah.
1956
Right.
was when the National Highway Act was
So
actually
you're all across
passed.
the country on 2-lane roads?
So
Yeah.
you're pretty much on 2-lane road. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Well,
So
it took them forever to get there.
but there is sort of this, a connection between our love affair of the highways and our love affair of the road
Yeah.
and the difference of it. I also think that the idea of tourism, and we're all tourists, right? And when I go someplace, of course, I'm like, hey, Tracy, let's go to the authentic place.
Yeah, right.
We're
yeah.
going to go eat at the authentic restaurant
Yeah.
where there's real locals,
Yeah.
But that's exactly what they're trying to do here, isn't it?
Yes,
They're the
and
ones
also the
trying
whole
to
idea,
find.
the modern idea of people. I know everybody. I did it. Driving across country for the sake of driving across country.
Yeah.
That wasn't. I'm sure that wasn't a thing in 1947.
Well, think about it. I mean, cars hadn't been around for all that long.
I know. That's
right.
And the
That's
roads
right.
were crappy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Eisenhower wanted to have the interstates because after being in Europe and he saw the roads that they had, and he thought if we had to mobilize and move troops from place to place, we can't do it on these crappy roads. We need serious roads. So I think that kind of like the car becoming more ubiquitous, becoming more reliable, having increasingly
part of the American character.
yes, increasingly better roads,
Right.
and the freedom and the having the money to be able to do things like this.
Yeah,
like
right.
you have to be an affluent society for people to be able to behave this way.
And 46,000 miles of interstate highway has been created. It is the greatest, number one, single most.
Transformative.
I say that a lot, Tom. But the greatest, number one, single most engineering product in the history of the world.
Well, there you
You know,
go.
it's bigger and better than the Great Wall of China. Even though that's a great thing too. But I'm just hyperbole this way. I mean, the book, of course.
Oh yeah. Hey, you got you all jazzed up over there with your jazz.
Jazz.
Jazz. Right. And so, and I guess that's sort of experimental jazz sound. You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
It's
Yeah.
sort of the soundtrack to them in the way that rock and roll is to the hippies.
Oh yeah, and there's great parallels.
Interesting.
Bebop jazz really is the idea.
Sort
The
of
way the
freeform.
song goes is you have the head, right? So, and the head is probably four different pieces in A format. So so the band plays the head,
Yeah.
the song,
Right.
Yeah.
all the way through, and then each member takes a turn soloing.
Yeah.
I see.
And after the last guy, they go back and do the head one more time, and that's it. So there is some there
Yeah,
is some
it-
shape and style,
Yes.
but it's
Within it-
freer and
Well, there
freer.
has to
Within
be.
its freedom,
I mean,
yeah.
freedom makes no sense unless there's some structure for it to operate within. But you need to go
You're
down.
right.
You need to go down with me to Old Greenbelt, to the New Deal Cafe.
Yeah.
They got a Saturday jazz thing.
Oh, do
that
they?
a friend plays in, and you could play drums with them.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
right.
but I think you'd enjoy it because it's exactly that. They start off with the basic structure of the song, and then it goes into all this improvisation, and that's that improvisation, that kind of trying to find. And this came out in Dean's language when they were in
Yes.
places where they were listening to music. It's like, I'm not going to do voice imitation again. But he would get so into that guy's really he's experiencing it. You know, he is in the flow.
Right. And then Jack Kerouac's writing style is a literary
Version of the same thing.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And in 19, and I'm going to get the date, I think it's 1956 is when the San Francisco Renaissance poets have that quote unquote really, really famous poetry reading. And that's where Allen Ginsberg reads Howl for the first time. And that just exploded. And of course, Howl was later published by Lawrence Ferlinghetti. And then a bunch of little old ladies said, oh my God, this thing is obscene, and gets it banned, and they take it to court. And of course, because
Nothing
it's in
sells
court,
copies like
being in court, right? So all of a sudden, this poem is probably the biggest selling poem of the 20th century American poem. But that just sort of catches
the
on.
Barbra Streisand effect.
Yeah,
I find it so funny when I go to the library and I see these displays of banned books, and it's like it's so banned. Here it is at the public library.
Right. And you can buy it anywhere. Okay.
Right.
Formerly banned, but of course they don't have the Bible there, which has been banned more than any other book. But anyway.
I think the last thing too is I think Allen Ginsberg and Jack Kerouac were of two different minds. So when we read On the Road, I mean, I don't know if you could see it here, and I don't know if it's in here, but he becomes more and more conservative as he gets older and older.
Yeah.
And he's and a lot of his friends, John Cleveland Holmes and Lucien Carr and a bunch of other folks, really, take the dive in and conform and have great careers in society. But Allen Ginsberg didn't do that. He just kept on being wild and crazy. And I think he's the one that really took the vision of the hippies his way. And Kerouac by that time was not. His books were done.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's two important definitions of a conservative. One is a conservative is a liberal who's been mugged. And the second one is a conservative is a liberal who has a teenage daughter. Because you realize all this freedom has to have a limit somewhere.
Okay, well, that was for our America 250 summer.
Yes,
that was a very good choice.
Yes, it was, because it fits right in with the American spirit.
All
well done,
right.
Longinus.
Right.
Thank you very much. All right. Cheers. Thanks so much for listening. Be sure to like this video and share it with your friends.